Hey guys, we're out here at Bartlett Lake again. You know what, it's such a pretty lake and it feels good being out filming with all of you. I haven't done much because I've been guiding so much lately, but we're starting out with a little bit of a spinnerbait. I wish it was a little bit more windy, but we still can catch them. Let me show you some of the spinnerbaits I'm making and why I make them for Bartlett Lake and Roosevelt and stuff. For one thing, the lake was real muddy. It's clearing up now, so this little guy right here is a perfect example of, you know, a little spinnerbait. You can throw these on spinning rods and stuff, and I designed these for customers of mine that don't throw bait casters. So that's a really good one I like using in dirty water, and white seems to work good. This is a little bit bigger one. This is a 5/8 and a single blade, number 4 silver. These little ones here are white with a little Colorado white. Those work good, and I put a little grubs on the back, you know, paint the skirts a little bit, doctor them up just to try to see what they want. You know, I like using white to imitate the shad. We do have a shad spawn going on right now, so let's go fishing and not talk too much. So let me grab a rod, and you know, the sun's up, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw this and let it go up on a steep bank like this. I wish it was a lot more windier. Let me tell you, I can't express how important it is to have that wind. I mean, I know you guys don't like it. A lot of you guys that are just the guys that watch my show, the guys that fish tournaments and are really good guys, they love that wind because it really helps the bite. So naturally, points are the #1 places to catch fish. So what I'm doing is I'm slow rolling this. And why is that spinnerbait better? I'm making a real thin spinnerbait, wire wise. And that wire is really thin, and what it does is it makes those blades really vibrate, you know. So I think that gives it a lot more action. It bends up the spinnerbait when you get one a little bit, and you just got to kind of push it back down. But that's just one of the key things, you know, that I do with these spinnerbaits. Like I said, last week I was out here with 2 guys, and it was white capping, and those guys just had a blast out here with spinnerbaits, you know. 23 feet of water, and boy, I'll tell you, they just killed them out here on those little white spinnerbaits, white blades. I make chartreuse blades, white blades, silver. The water's cleared up quite a bit lately since they cut the flow up here. So we're not getting all that dirty water from Horseshoe coming down as much. They slowed that way down. So you can see once I throw this out, I'm just barely winding this like this, just to let that thing go down. Oops, there's a little bump right there. You know what, these crappies, you'll feel that, you know, and I'm in 15 feet of water, but I'm not on the bottom. And so I'll feel those things coming across, you know, and it might be 3-4 feet off the bottom, and all of a sudden you'll feel that thump, you know. It's crappie. It's crappie and small bass and stuff, and they're just hitting the tail or the skirt of this spinnerbait is all they're doing. So I'm just get it out. I'm letting this thing slow roll like this. You know, I practice in the swimming pool real slow like this, and boy, I tell you, and you know what, this bite, let me tell you this, you'll feel that bite, you gotta be quick, just like a drop shot bite or a Texas rig bite. When that thing hits, you know, jerk it. So on the next one that does that, I'm gonna jerk it, and we'll show you what the results is. Don't be afraid to throw up, you know, close to the bank on a sandy beach or something like that, because we still have fish spawning. Not all of them have spawned. It takes 2 or 3 months for these things to get spawned out. So these fish will be located up on the rocks and the sand. The perfect condition is have some rocks, and then all of a sudden you have a little sandy beach. You know, it could be 10 feet wide or something like that. But nope, missed him. These are, I'm telling you, I've been catching crappies out here, and these crappies will bite. They'll nip at that tail. Everyone asks me, well, how do I go catch crappies? I go, well, I said, they're so scattered. These fish are so scattered out here. They're they're just starting to group up just a little bit, you know, just a tiny bit out here. And they're going into their post-spawn, meaning they're spawned, they're moving out, the females are moving out. And so that's why I'm slow rolling, get this bait down a little bit in the water column. When you come out here, you're gonna see these fish on your graph, 10, 12, 15 feet, and you're gonna be going, I mean, I've got guys emailing me saying, man, is my graph bad? So I'm just casting out, just, you know, just out there, just slowly slowing this thing down. I'm actually picking places out on the shore that I see, you know, so I'm looking at that tree right there, and I'm gonna just cast right up next to it, but not in it. Let it go down just about 2-3 feet, kind of jerk it, and just slow roll this bait like this. Just real slow. So I want this to get down, you know, so those fish that are in 10, 12, 15 feet are going to see this coming by them. So I build a spinnerbait with really light wire. It's a bigger blade bait. I'll show this to you a little bit later. And we use that bait for instead of just throwing it up on the bank, I'll idle around, I'll see a point, and then I'll use that bait to locate fish, and then I'll let it go down. So I'm quite a ways out here. I'm just gonna let that bait sink, just to give you an idea. And you can see that how it gets rock, trees, and then all of a sudden we got sand. So, you know, I'm judging that maybe there might be a nice female or something out on that sand. That could be a good scenario of what's going on here. And that's what I look for when I go down the lake. I'm looking for rock, sand, you know, and these rocks come out on little points here also. So I'm out in 23 feet. I'm not afraid to let this spinnerbait go down 20, 22 feet, 23 feet, you know. Some of your best spinnerbait guys that win these tournaments, they're fishing out here in, you know, 25, 30, 40 feet of water. So I'm throwing it out, letting it sink, letting it sink, letting it sink. Okay, it's on the bottom, I'm getting slack line. I just pop my line like this, and I'm just gonna slow roll this back. Everybody asks me, why are you building these wires so light? It's, for one thing, it's the vibration, you know, and it's more of a finesse spinnerbait, is what it is. I'm not throwing this through a tree and ripping it out of a tree and stuff like that. I'm going for fish that have already spawned, and they're lining up on these points that are coming out here. This is a good example right here. I just casted it way out there. I'm in 18 feet of water. I see fish on the graph. I let it sink. Now I let that sink in about 10 feet. And so I'm going to just slow roll this. This is a perfect example. You know, every once in a while I'll feel a rock. What you feel when you get a bite is just like a bite on a drop shot or a Texas rig. Tick, that's your bite. You feel that, you know, if you've hit a rock, it's kind of heavy, a thump. But the spinnerbait bite, man, I'll tell you can catch some really good fish doing this. It's a technique that if you don't do it and you want to advance to a new level, that could be a good way to do it. I mean, for you to advance to a different level, a higher level of spinnerbaiting, instead of just going down, beating the bank, and you know, trying to catch those fish right up on the bank. I'm trying to catch the fish that are down 10, 12, 15 feet that you see on your graph, you know. There's one right there. Oh boy, this feels good. Boy, it's nothing like, oh, he's coming up. So I'm gonna hold my rod tip down, keep that fish down. I don't want him jumping. Boy, with top water, he's way out there. You can see, guys, you can see the cast I made, how long it goes. He's getting ready to jump. I'm holding my rod down in the water, trying to keep him down. I got him out of deep water, so, you know, oop, there he goes. He's coming in. At least you can see a little bit. I'm just trying to keep his head down, is what I'm trying to do. I'm not gonna flip this because I don't know how big he is. He's a nice size one. Ooh, boy, look at that. Wow. This is the kind of fish you catch, you guys, throwing these spinnerbaits. This is a nice one. Look how healthy he is. He's already spawned. Look at his tail. He's already spawned, and now she's out feeding crawdads and bass, shad, so she's fattening up, you know, and that's what I've been seeing. During the spawn, I've been seeing a lot of little tiny skinny fish. Now they're starting to get big again. So I always look down their throats just to see if, you know, they got it. This one has not been caught. This is a fresh one. Usually I'll get them with holes, but just a beautiful bass, you know, in that 2-pound range. So we'll go ahead and just let this baby go. Okay, we're gonna release this fish. Let's get her nice and revived. She came out of deep water, so just a pretty, pretty little bass. There she goes. I got one. There we go. Okay, keep him down. He's coming in. Don't know how big he is, but he hasn't come up yet. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice fish. Boy, he smacked this thing hard. Man, got him right off that shore about 10, 15 feet. Whoa, look at that baby. Holy mackerel. Woo. See, that's a nice quality fish. I mean, they're Bartlett Lake bass, you know, they're not 3-4 pounders, but they are fun to learn a technique. You know, these fish are just beautiful. Tails all nice and straight. Well, guys, that's it. So there's another one to add. We'll start, sun's coming up, but we got a little cloudy day, so shall we release this one? Let's do it. We'll just gently put him in there. Just let him swim away. There he goes. Nice, thank you, fish. Well, see how they bend up your spinnerbaits, like I told you about? When I first started this, we were just trying all different kind of heads and blades and experimenting a lot. I've learned a lot about these spinnerbaits, my partner and I, Brian. So you just kind of bend this back. We shrink wrap the end of this thing. Always, when I'm slow rolling this, I always try to, oh boy. Yep. Well, I'm gonna have to cut this and retie it because it just isn't doing it. Let me grab a scissors here. You can see that the line, I don't know if you can see that through the camera, but look how it's frayed right there. And you know, if you're gonna go over the top of these rocks and stuff, it's gonna cut this line really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut off that much, but I am gonna take the line and I'm gonna feel that, okay? So let's just go through this, you know. Tell you what, I've been messing with knots so much. I'm just gonna go through, wrap it around again, and tell you what, I just tie 3 overhand knots and I never have a knot break, never. I've learned with these knots that I haven't been tying all these sophisticated knots. Now, if I wasn't tying the spinnerbait, I'd probably do a polymer knot on that. But for just out here fishing, you know, I do leave a little bit of the end, maybe a 1/4 inch for slippage. So since the water cleared up, guys, I've been using more of the gold and silver, as you can see. And so that's been working out pretty good for me, the gold and silver. So I just had a little point there and came across that point and wham bam, 15 feet down. That's a good feeling. So let me just get on this trolling motor again. And we're coming into a cove. Now, a month ago, 2 months ago, these little coves like this were just full of bass. Now it's hard to get those things to bite in there. They're all pulling out. That post-spawn is causing these fish just to move out, you know, a little deeper. So I'm throwing it about 10 feet. I got a 90-degree bank right here that drops off. I'm in 20 feet of water, so I'm just gonna throw it up, fish it out, nice and slow. You saw how I was reeling it, just nice and slow like this. It's a blast once you get on this bite. It is truly a blast. So I'll keep going out in front of the camera instead. So we're just gonna stay on the trolling motor because, like I said, you learn areas where the fish are, you know, and I may jump across the other side of the lake here in a few minutes, but the sun's just right for filming. And we'll just run this bank a little bit more. There's hard rock here. It looks like dirt, but there's some nice little points that come out. You just can't see them right now because of the water level. But spinnerbait, you know, you just don't see a lot of guys using spinnerbaits. When you guys are watching TV, you know, besides Jimmy Houston, that's all he uses is spinnerbaits. But all the rest of the guys on, you know, the Bass Tour, FLW, they're all with this crankbait stuff now. But these fish here just don't see a lot of spinnerbaits. And the chatterbait's good too. I thought about making some chatterbaits, but to me, I want to perfect this spinnerbait so much with that light wire just to get this bite going. So we're going to just stay on this. And all these little rocks that I'm throwing up to, you know, David can swing over there. You see that little clump of rocks I just threw right there with those are good. Anything that sticks out further on the bank is what I'm throwing to. I'll make another cast there, Dave. Watch that rock right there a second. Watch this. So I'm just gonna cast, you know, and I don't have to go wide on it. I mean, I'm going within a foot. So I'm just slow rolling that right off the rock, nice and slow. It's deep here, 20 feet, and I'm just letting that baby sink, you know. I did tie on a heavier spinnerbait for this. It's a 1/2 ounce. You know, I do make I've got some 5/8 ounce on and 3/4 on, so if I have to, I can go over some of these. If I see fish on the bottom, I could go out and let that thing drop 20, 25 feet down and still catch those. So let's just kind of keep moving. We'll just kind of keep out throwing that out there, reeling it slow. Now I'm not going to go, I mean, this would be perfect to throw a topwater, but I tried to throw a topwater this morning and it was tough, you know. I mean, I'll try it again here in a little bit. But places like this, without that ripple on the back of on the lake, it's just not setting up real good. Those fish are down in the water column 10, 12, 15 feet right now. So, but what a perfect area to throw a frog, huh? You know, I brought some frogs, so maybe later on I'll try to get something else going. I want to do a walking bait also in here as soon as we finish this show up. What a perfect place to cast. Look at that nice big old dead tree right there. But that thing's probably only sitting in 3 or 4 feet of water. So in my mind, I know that's, you know, if there's a fish there, it's going to be a smaller one. You know, I'm trying to catch pre-spawn fish is what I'm trying to catch, you know. I mean, there's a little cut right back there. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for an outcropping of rocks. And as we look up the bank here, I'm looking for something like that, like, you know, like way up there to where I can let that go out and hope that there's a little point or some rocks that are sticking out on the shoreline, just a little bit. One good thing about some of these shorelines, you can see a lot as we go along here, you know, like that one up there. You want to have a shoreline that has some points on it where we could, you know, get out. And every time I go over a point, I'm looking at that point, how far it runs out here. So I'm quite a ways out here now. So this is a good example of a good point. This one and the next one. So I'm not going to go right on the bank. I'm just going to throw it out about 10, 12 feet, but I'm going to let that spinnerbait fall down on that point, and I'm gonna get out where those fish are. I'm just trying to get those fish to react to that blade coming right over the top of them, looking like a couple shad swimming. That's all I'm trying to do. So I just came over 13, 14 feet. It's 16, 18 now. So I'm gonna go right behind the boat. I'm gonna throw that spinnerbait out, let it go down. Okay, it's on the bottom. I'm gonna start reeling. Now I feel it loading up. Just waiting for that thing to hit this. You know, sometimes you gotta throw this bait to the same area 3 or 4 times to get that bite. I mean, I'm still seeing fish way out here. Don't know if they're bass, crappies, or what they are, carp. I've been hitting the 10, 12 foot area, 15 area. Now I'm gonna move out to 18 and 20 just for the heck of it. Just to see if there's a big fat female or a bigger bass. So what I'll do is get up. I'm gonna throw it way out there over the point, come up over the point, bang the point like a crankbait. I'm using this just as a crankbait tool. Same thing. Sometimes, you know, you can get lucky, and when it hits the bottom, sometimes those fish will hit it. Come on. You know, after you go for a little while, it takes a little bit longer to get these fish to react. They feed right away early in the morning, and then they feed in the morning, and then they slow down. You know, their breakfast is over, and they're slowing down a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this one off because it's light. It's for fishing. It's one of my dirty water spinnerbaits. And what I'm gonna do is put on a thumper blade. Let's go with a heavier spinnerbait. Let's put this on. This is a 5/8, a little bit bigger than a 1/2 ounce. I'm gonna let this go down a little bit. So let's tie this single blade on. I've been having some luck with these single blades lately. Just, you know, one big blade, number 4 or 5 blade, and it's been working for me. So let's just go with my hunch, see if this will work. Got that nice and tight. Throw all these here in there. Clip this. All right, let me make sure this blade is working. Oh yeah. Let's make a couple casts up shallow. I'm gonna work my way out. This is more of a Team Daiwa rod. It's more of a fiberglass rod. I've got some Bass Pro Shop ones back there, so I'm just gonna slow roll this over the bottom right here in 10, 12, and then I'm gonna move out on this point. This is a really nice point that comes way out here, and I'm looking at some nice fish out here, way out here. So what I'm gonna do is get just a little bit further this way. I'm going straight on the point, I'm coming straight out. Then what I'm gonna do is move the boat a little further. This will look like just a single shad swimming. I don't know if Dave can pick this up, but can you see the tip of my rod, Dave? Can you see that thing wiggling? Look at that. See that? That's how much vibrations. And I'm getting up to the end, so I'll throw it back out and show you again, okay? I want to show you something. This is how much vibration this has. Look at the end of the rod. That's only a 5/8. Isn't that something? All right. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go out deeper. I'm gonna go right behind the boat. I'll turn the boat. I'm gonna let it sink. Let that sink down. Turn the boat like this. Okay, sinking, sinking. All right, here we go. Jerk it, get that blade turning. This is only a single blade one. Boy, I can just feel that thing just barely, barely. I'm trying to get it to hit the bottom. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, let me do another one. This time I'm gonna go over the point, way over it, way out there. Let it go down. You can tell it's gonna hit the bottom by the way it just all of a sudden slacks line. Okay, let me get that to bump some of these rocks. All right, it's bumping now. It's real slow. There he is. Oh, it's coming up. Let's get him down. Get that tip down so nice and slow. I've learned that if I reel these in nice and slow, if I catch them 12, 15 feet down, I was way back there, folks. It's gonna take a second to get in. Feels a little bit heavier than the normal little tiny ones I catch. Oh, he's coming up. Well, that's a nice fish. He's got his mouth wide open. I don't know if the spinner. Oh, there he is. Look at that. That's a pretty sight, isn't it? Come on, you little jewel. He ain't jumping. Oh, too late. I just said he's not jumping, and he did. Oh, that's a pretty sight. Look at that. Oh, that's what I call a quick release. So, anyway. Hopefully you got the gist of doing this, you know. This is one of my 5/8. Look how limber that wire is. I mean, that's real limber. And a 5/8 spinnerbait, you know, good quality Gamakatsu hook, good ball bearings. And I have a quick release one on this one to change blades out, an experimental one for me. But just so you know what I'm doing out here, you know, some of these, I carry a dozen, 2 dozen of these in my truck all the time. If you're at the lake and see me, I'll be glad to sell you guys some of these. But I'm using 17-pound line, light action fiberglass rod, fiberglass graphite combination. But it's fun to figure this bite out. This is what it's all about for me. So I want to thank you for watching my videos. I also want to remind you I have another free trip coming up with Liberty Mutual after the credits here, and after that you can sign up for that. And Dave and I just want to thank you for watching our videos. Thanks for tuning in. We're at Bartlett Lake.